Good morning, here's the Breville Barista Express, BES870 in black salted licorice. Your machine is in incredible condition, so this is, I would say, very close to new. It is a used machine, used for a few months, I would say, but very minimal wear and tear. So you've got a small scratch here on the front, a few along this edge, a few along the back edge, and one here. Nothing too bad. The paint isn't chipped badly. There's no dents that I can see, and I've just finished doing the service, so that's a descale cycle, cleaning cycle, vacuuming the grinder and aligning it, pressure test on the water side, pressure test on the steam side, looking for leaks. Everything was perfect. In this video I'll be testing all the features, going through my daily routine on how to make a coffee on this model. So yeah, when you turn it on, usually it takes about a minute to turn on and reach temperature on the boiler, but that doesn't mean you're ready to make another coffee. You're ready to make a coffee. So the boiler may be at temperature, but the other components like your portafilter and your cup may still be cold or at room temperature. So we want to warm these up before we make an espresso, so we ensure the espresso is good tasting and that it's a hot drink overall. So to do that, I like to bring my cup, lock in the handle. It's empty at the moment, I think. Yep. Just lightly lock it in and press the double. That's going to give us a double quantity of water. You can do that once, you can do that twice, it's up to you. Great. Once that's done, we can move the cup away and move on to the next step. Put that on top. You can put it on top. The top lid is warm. It's not hot, but it's warm. It gets heat from the boiler. Your machine comes with basically all the accessories as new. So it comes with 4 different baskets, 2 doubles and 2 singles. This is the double single wall. It's good for freshly ground coffee, and it's a bit harder to use than the other one, which is the double wall double shot, but it's easier to clean. The other ones, the double wall baskets, are more for beginners, and sometimes they're good to be used with like old coffee or cheaper coffee that doesn't have a lot of pressure in it. If you try to use pre-ground coffee or cheap coffee with this portafilter, it'll give you trouble. It won't give you a lot of pressure. Gonna adjust the grind size. So I've calibrated the burr and the grind size so that now we should be doing grind size 3 or number 4. Yeah, let's try grind size number 4, and if it's too fine or too coarse, we can move from there. I can advise you what to do next. Well, basically I'll set up the machine so that once you receive it, you're ready to go. You don't have to mess too much. Looks okay. Maybe we need to go finer, but yeah, look, the only way to know is to make a coffee, so we'll make a coffee. Grab a handful. Yep, so this basket takes 18 grams of ground coffee. That's what I'll be aiming for using my scale here. I'll set up the grind amount on 12 o'clock and I'll keep it on single. You can put it on double. Of course, we're doing a double shot. This is a double basket. But I like to do it in single so that it's less messy, it's more consistent. If you do it on double, you may get a bit of spillage down the sides onto the countertop. That's my first dose. Let's have a look. 8 grams. So we'll do 1 o'clock, see how much that gives us. It should be between 17 to 18 grams. Just top it up. And we're at 9 grams now, great. So I'll lightly press it with the tamper. This is the important bit. Lightly press after the first dose to make way for the next dose. Just fill it with some water. Okay, here's my second dose. And we have 8.7, yeah, keep it at 1 o'clock. I think you'll be getting good amounts. If you do this twice, you'll be getting about 17.5, which is good. Maximum is 18, like I said. It's okay to go a little bit under, better than going a little bit over. Reason is, when you go a little bit over, you A, may not be able to lock in the handle in the portafilter, and B, you'll over-pressurize the coffee. You'll put too much pressure into that puck, into that ground coffee, and it will affect your shot as well. Before you press it with the tamper properly now, just distribute the coffee with your hand. There's tools you can buy to distribute, but doing it by hand is okay as well. You can press on the counter, you can press in the middle of the air like I'm doing now. Either should be fine. And it's nice and firm pressure all around and all done. So if you don't have a scale or if you're in a hurry, you can always use a trick that I've learned. Look at the depth of the tamper. So this silver part is like a guide. It should disappear if you have the correct amount of coffee, and it is disappearing now. So I know we have the correct amount of coffee because we have the scale saying 17.5 grams, and also because the silver part is disappearing. If it's all the way up here and you can't press it any further, that's too much coffee and you won't be able to lock in the handle. I would use the included razor tool to scrape off the excess and tamp again. Alrighty, clean the edges and lock it in. Sweet. I'm gonna get rid of this water now. You also have a hot water tap as well, of course. It's going to give you clean hot water right from the boiler or right from the thermo block. You can use that for brewing tea bags, for making your coffee into a long black. For me, I like to use it to fill my cup with it. Not fill my cup, to add a little bit of hot water so that I can add some sugar and dissolve it before the espresso is brewed. And this way it will mix nicely with the espresso. If you like syrups or sugar, I highly recommend you add it now before, so you don't have to stir after and ruin the crema, etc. Great, so we measured the input. I think it's also important to measure the output, just as important. A correct espresso, or an average espresso ratio is about 2 to 1. For every gram we put in, we want 2 grams out. We put in 17.5, we want 35. And that should take about 25 seconds. That's what the grind size is for. So we should keep the quantity constant, 35 or 36 grams, whatever. The input constant, 17 to 18 grams. But what changes, the dependent variable, I guess, what changes is the time it takes to give us that amount. So the time, if it takes us 10 or 15 seconds to get the 35 gram shot, that's way too quick. That's going to be a bad shot because it will be fast, it'll be sour, it'll be low pressure. If we get a very high pressure and a very slow shot, and our 35 grams of coffee takes a whole minute to come out, then that's too fine and that's too slow. So think of the grind size as if it's like the speed of the brew. If you go larger grind size, you have bigger particles, you have a faster flow, you'll get a lot of coffee quickly. If you do a very fine grind size, too fine, what will happen is it'll slow down the pour, increase the pressure because it's struggling to push water through, and you'll get a small amount of coffee, or I guess you'll get the 35 grams in a very long time. Okay, enough talking, let's make coffee. Last thing, these buttons are programmable. You can change them to whatever length you'd like. I will program the double shot button for you so that once you receive the machine, it's ready to go and you don't have to mess too much. Right, so to program, very easy. You just obviously put in the handle with coffee, program, then the button you want to program. Keep an eye on the pressure gauge. It should be in the gray zone if you have the settings right. Okay. Yeah, that was 15 seconds. That's not a great shot. Tells me that either my coffee is bad. That's 40 grams, okay. Either my coffee is bad or my grind size is too large. And I think it's a combination of the two. I'll do that again. Happy to do that again, that's fine. I'll get rid of that. Give it a quick clean. Ideally, you want to flush it again with some hot water from the group head, like that. Just for the sake of time, I won't do that. So grind size 4, we mainly need to use grind size 2. So maybe the grind size was a little bit too coarse. And also my beans aren't the best. They're a supermarket brand and they've been purchased I think 3 weeks ago. So no, they're not the best. Okay, I'm doing grind size 2, and after I've changed the grind size, I'm going to grind for another 2 seconds to get rid of the old grind size. There we go. Same story, I'm just going to add some more beans. Maybe this will be at the 3 o'clock mark since we are grinding finer. And look, each bean will be different. I'm going to get it approximately in the zone for you, but not exact, because you may use different beans that have different flow rates and different pressure profile. Typically, good beans, high quality beans or freshly roasted beans, don't need to be ground as fine because they have a lot of freshness in them. You can get a lot of pressure and chroma even at larger grind sizes. These beans are from the supermarket, they're not the best. So I think they highly contributed to why the pressure is low today. I'm happy to do it again just to get a good coffee, honestly. Okay, 3 o'clock position, grind size 2. Let's go. There is going to be a little bit of wastage, so I have to get rid of that shot because it's going to taste horrible. It's still, I guess, would be drinkable if you mix it with milk and sugar. Some people won't even notice if you have a badly pulled shot. They may not even know it was a bit too quick or a bit too slow. But I notice, and I prefer having a good shot over a bad one. Okay, so that's 9 grams actually, 9.2 at the, what was it, 2 o'clock position. I'll try that again and see how much we get. Very important, the first press. And I'll do that again. second dose. $17.7, great. So just like before, now with grind size 2, we are using 2 o'clock instead of a 1 o'clock position, because grinding finer slows down the grinder, of course. Distribute with your finger, then press. Not make sure it's nice and firm. The pressures should be a little bit higher now, but if they're not perfect, I guess I'll just leave it as is. Like I said, the beans aren't fresh. If I were to use a better brand, I usually recommend Aldi and Coles. Aldi is actually really good, and if you use Aldi beans now with these settings, it'll probably over pressurize and give you a lot of crema, etc. Great. Clean the edges and lock it in. Just gonna quickly add sugar again. It's a bit of trial and error, but once you get there, very, very rewarding. Okay, same deal. I'm going to reprogram the button just because with different pressures, there's so many variables, right? With different pressures, you may be getting different flows, different flow amounts. So we have to do the reprogramming at the correct grind size and everything. If I press this button again, we may not get a lot of coffee. It's a long story to explain, but we just have to do it. Same deal, program. Hopefully should be a bit more in the gray zone today, now. Yeah, a little bit better, I would say. That's about 11 o'clock pressure. About 20 seconds. About 11 o'clock pressure. Still a bit too runny. I think it's the beans, I honestly do. Once you make enough coffees, and I've made in the thousands, you get to know what's quick. This is 45 grams. I'll leave it there, look. Yeah, once you make a lot of coffees, you get to know what's a good bean and what's a bad bean and what's too quick and too slow. In this case, like, even if we go a bit finer on the grind size, we'll still be getting a bit of a runny coffee just because the beans aren't the best, and I apologize for that. But I think you're good to go. So if you use the machine as is with proper beans, it'll still give you a decent enough shot, and you still have to do a bit of trial and error perhaps, which is inevitable for any user, but at least with this video, with today's attempt, I've gotten it close enough for you. So like I said, grind size 2 or 3, I'll keep it at 2. Don't go all the way to 1 or 0, it's too soon for that. Not even good for your coffee, not even good for your grinder if the blades are too close together. So try grind size 2, try grind amount at 2 o'clock, single, doing it twice, press the double, and see how much coffee you get. This is about 45 grams, it's a lot, but once you change the beans, you'll get slightly less coffee. If you change to a better bean, the quantity will reduce because the pressure will be probably higher. Still a drinkable shot, maybe, especially if you add sugar and milk. That took about 19 seconds, so I can taste a bit of sourness, but that's okay. Better than the one before. The other one, I think, took 14 or 15 seconds, so that's way too quick. And it didn't even go into the gray zone. Next, we'll be steaming. So turn on the steamer, wait a few seconds. After you do the flush, by the way, it would be nice for you to dry the portafilter and dry the shower screen, just to wipe off any excess coffee grounds or oils. Go all around. So once you get full pressure, you'll hear the pumps pulsating. Position yourself. You have about 5 seconds to position yourself, then turn it back on. start off with the wand a bit deep into the milk and spinning the milk as well. And then once you get it spinning, lower the jug to keep the tip of the wand close to the surface of the milk. And then raise the jug. So when you're hearing that hissing sound, like a paper tearing sound, that is a sign that you're injecting air into the milk and you're giving it that foam, that texture. Once you get to 5 seconds or 10 seconds, I would recommend you stop aerating the milk. So raise your jug now to go deeper, put the tip deep into the milk, and now I'm just spinning the milk. It's just spinning it, heating it up. And once it's too hot to the touch, I'll turn it off. Reason why you don't want to aerate it for too long, you'll get very thick foam, and we don't want that. So don't let it cool down, but just give it a purge, and then turn it off. It'll give you about 5 seconds before it reverts to espresso mode. In the meantime, I'm going to grab a wet towel and wipe it off. Great. Keep it nice and clean so that it lasts a long time. If you forget to clean or purge the wand, you may wake up one day with a wand that doesn't steam. That's just because it's filled up with milk residue and clogged up. Once you're done steaming, knock the jug onto the counter to break any big air bubbles. Swirl it up to mix. I think we accidentally got like a cappuccino texture because we frothed for a bit too long. And when I say frothed, I mean I kept the tip close to the surface for a bit too long. So we have good milk texture, but maybe too much foam. But I'm not complaining, it looks good. There we go. Amazing. Oh wow, that's very good. There's full cream milk, and yeah, it's not a bad latte. I'm sure you can do designs and latte art if you practice enough. For me, I usually get the occasional hard or whatever this is, but that's not a priority for me. Taste is the most important, and I'm sure you can make delicious coffees and some latte art with practice with this coffee machine. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. And I'll see you soon. Cheers.